Unacademy. Let's crack it.
This is Tom. We've got an absolute legend who is joining us here on the Unacademy. Let's crack it with some superstars. We had you, Raj, a couple of weeks ago, and now we've got Mr. 360. Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has hung up his gloves. Normally you put up your boots, but he's hung up his gloves. How would you describe his career? Is there anything fond in terms of memories that you've had with MS, playing against MS? Any of your favourite innings that you've watched from close quarters?
It's an interesting question because, knowing MS, he's quite a reserved kind of character, I'm pretty sure you can vouch for that. He's not really an open book. He does things a little bit unconventional to the norm. So I could honestly say, if I just sum him up, I'm basically a fan, KP.
Yeah, we're going to get on to you, sir, Mr. De Villiers. Your introduction to sport, the alchemist in every sport, and choosing cricket. Now, you could have chosen golf, cricket, tennis, rugby. You could have been a scientist. You could have been a magician. You could have been everything. You're one of those people that we all love to hate. Why cricket? Why did you choose the job that you do now?
I've had to answer this question a few times before.
Yeah, I can imagine.
KP, to be honest with you, it's. I think I've always had the ability to really to commit to something that I've wanted to do, whether that was cricket or golf or academics at the time. Just being a good brother to my older brothers or a good son to my parents. I've been naughty at times, but I've always, when I've decided to commit to something, I've done it well. And I think credit's got to go to the way I was brought up by my parents. They taught me that way. If you commit to something, do it properly rather not do it. So, yes, there's talent, and I've always had the ability to play with, to sort of test my skill in sports and various kinds of sports. But it's more to do with an attitude and the ability to commit to something and to properly commit and not to do things halfway. Long story short, I don't think I could have made it in other sports, to be honest with you, but that's also got to do with my character and personality. I don't like to think too much about myself. I enjoy the person that I am, but I wouldn't like to say that I could have made it in any sport and could have made success in other areas.
Education, and this is an educational platform. Education is one thing. Would you say that in terms of all the students that will be watching this, that education, they should be putting education first, and if sport comes, because there will be a lot of people that are amazing at all sorts of things, all sorts of subjects, all sorts of sports, all sorts of arts. Do you say, or put your finger on, education is definitely something you've got to pursue really well? Or do you say, hey, if you're good at sport, just go and play sport?
That's really a difficult question. I don't think there's a right answer, to be honest with you. The way I did it wasn't necessarily the way someone else needs to do it. I didn't go for education after school at first. Yeah. It's always in the back of my mind, and my parents always pushed me to get some sort of a degree. I went to Tux University right after school. I studied for about 4 months, and in that 4 months, while I was playing cricket, I started excelling at cricket. And I had a chat to my parents. I went to see them personally, and I said, listen, I'm seeing some results with this game. I've spoken to Dave Nosworthy, who was the coach of the Titans at the time, and he gave me the advice of really giving it a go. He felt I could go a long way. And that's the decision I made, but I always had education at the back of my mind. And even though my international career started shortly after, it was always something I wanted to do. I did some online courses. I've done 3 now through a course called Get Smarter. So there are always opportunities to really stimulate the brain, and I think that's vitally important. You don't necessarily have to go straight off and get a degree before you can do sports. You can try and do both, and you can. Have you done
those now while you've been playing?
I've done those in the last 7 years. Yes, I've done a business management course, one on property, and another one on property. I've done 2 different property courses.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's always been important to me. The dream and the ideal of getting a degree behind my name never realized. It might still, who knows, but I sort of saw another opportunity to do shorter courses online to stimulate my brain while I'm doing my profession, which was cricket.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Now you're leading into the IPL. There surely is a lot of pressure on you now going into the IPL and not actually building an innings when you are 5 down, so Coley's out and everybody's out. There's a different pressure now leading into the IPL. How do you deal with that pressure leading into the IPL? Because a lot of these listeners will be dealing with pressure every single day, and it's important to hear from people like yourself on how you deal with it. How do you manage expectation?
Yeah, so things changed as I progressed in my career. So now I'm not that youngster anymore who's playing with the colours, and now I feel I rely on my experiences, I rely on the way I prepare, I rely on my mental memories, things that I've gone through in the past, some happy memories, some bad memories as well. I'm a lot quicker on my feet these days when it comes to thinking, and that's purely experience, but also the way you prepare. So I can go to the IPL now and really kid myself and go, you know what, you're still as good as the youngsters of today and Kohli's and all of them, and that's just simply not true. I haven't played for a while and I know that, so to be honest with myself is the most important thing, to go there with a mindset of, listen, I'm a youngster again, in my mind, I'm here to learn, I'm going to put in the hard yards, every single net session I'm going to use everything I can to make sure I'm up to standard when that moment comes. And when the moment comes around, it's all about muscle memory, some past memories of experiences, and then I truly believe in myself and the fact that I've played 15 years of international cricket. When the moment comes around for me to clinch a game out of nowhere, I'll still have that memories and that experience to do so.
Do you sometimes get into a situation where you know exactly what the bowler is going to deliver and you know exactly where it's going to? So subconsciously there's something inside you that is telling you, I know where this ball's going and I'm going to hit you there. And by, whether it's a stroke of luck or it just happens, it just happens.
Absolutely, and it's a shame it doesn't happen often enough.
I know, me too. I had that on occasion. It's the best thing ever.
As good as that feeling is, I've had a lot of moments in my career where I've had no idea where the ball's going to go, and I have no idea if I'm going to hit it or not. So,
I was going to come to that.
Yeah, that's the beautiful balance of the game we play. It's a leveler, and I mean you got to respect certain moments, and that's what I mentioned before. I was always honest with myself with my special knocks that I had to lay the foundation. I always took the time to see the shape in the air, try and feel what the bowler's trying to do and the captain, and sort of get to a moment where you feel like, okay, I've earned the right. I can sort of start to express myself, and they don't always come off, but then you take a bit of learning again and you move on. What's
been your darkest moment in cricket?
There's been a few.
That's fine. I mean, with me too. There's been a few, as well as these amazing stuff. There's been some times where you go, I don't know if cricket's my thing.
Batting wise, and purely from a technical point of view, 2006, we had India and Pakistan touring here. You know the bowler very well, Mohammad Asif. I think we both rate him as one of the best bowlers to ever have played the game.
Yeah.
He kept me very busy for 6 innings in a row here in South Africa. I was doing the batting at the time, and I mean, that's where Polly was throwing underarms to me, and I felt like I was a 10-year-old youngster. It was embarrassing. We had the press there behind the nets, and I was doing underarms with one hand, and I mean, the next minute I'm facing the new ball, and Asif is going, thanks for coming. So that was dark, and that's where I found myself crying in the shower, thinking I'm throwing my career away because I don't know. And the coach came to me and said, listen, it's possibly your last test match. You're going to have to find some runs here somewhere. I mean, it was just somehow I got through it. Some good leadership in the team, Graham Smith, Callis, Boucher, a couple of good mentors in my life that really just kept me positive, telling me to focus on the moment, one ball at a time. That sort of got me through. I scraped a 50 in Cape Town, and that bought me a little bit of time, and I got through it.
Amazing. Your tryst with India, I mean, we all know when we turn up at grounds and you and Carly are on show that there is a big love affair, RCB in particular. How much has that meant to you in your career, the adoration that you can get jumping from an aeroplane, Johannesburg to Mumbai and landing in India?
It's almost impossible to describe what it's meant to me in my life and my career. I mean, it's something I never dreamed of. It's something that never crossed my mind. As I said, as a youngster, it's always been important to me to have a good attitude, and I had role models like a John T. Watching him play on telly, I've always felt like he played the game in the right way. He didn't always necessarily do well, but it looked like he was having fun. So That's always been my motto, to go out and have fun and to try and change games, entertain, especially my teammates. I've always wanted to surprise my teammates and impress them. And somehow it sort of just happened in India that I had a way of enjoying the game so much that they enjoyed the way I was enjoying it. And I don't know, it started slowly developing throughout a couple of IPLs, and I was swept off my feet completely when we toured there for an ODI series, which we ended up winning in the final at Mumbai. But I honestly had support almost more than what I had in South Africa at the time. It was incredible, and I was lying awake at night in bed thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I was calling my mom saying, did you hear that? Did you just hear what happened? So it's changed my life completely, and I'll forever be grateful. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I play a simple game of cricket.
If not a sports person, what else?
So I always had this dream as a youngster. My dad is a doctor, so if I went into education after school, I would have absolutely loved to do medicine and to become a doctor like my dad. I think that was actually one of his dreams, to get one of his sons to become a doctor, and none of us did. So possibly that. Come again?
Did you get the grades to be a doctor, to go into medicine?
Possibly not. I did too much sport at school. I think if I really, as I said before, if I committed properly, who knows?
Yeah. AB's mantra to crack it, what is it? I think we've heard a lot about earning the right.
I think keeping your feet on the ground and not getting ahead of yourself. Understanding what works for you and not for someone else, and not trying to be someone else, but understanding yourself as a person, and then to be honest with yourself.
Buddy, I know you've got to go and do your testing because you've got to travel to Dubai and you've got to go and do everything that you need to do to get yourself into that bubble and ready for this year's IPL. Thank you so much for joining me on Let's Crack It with Unacademy. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I will no doubt have a microphone in front of your mouth when you do something very special in a couple of weeks in Dubai.
Thanks, KP. Thanks for your time, and to everyone for listening. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. See you, boy.